presentation. It's a strategic plan, the introduction of occupational programs using the German dual approach at Vuselela College. I'm your colleague, Xolile Mpendukane. I'm a student at the moment. You're my adjudicators. Mine will be to present and then yours will be to adjudicate. I will start by indicating that the introduction, as you can see, that we are indicating that this presentation is about the strategic planning on the introduction of occupational programs at Vuselela using the German dual approach for the period 2026 to 2029. It's a strategic plan which is focused for 3 years. It reflects on what the vision, mission, how it incorporates dual approach on occupational, vocational. It also reflects on factors affecting its implementation, your South African international trends, mega trends, socio-economic and political trends. It touches on SMART goals and outlines the action plan. It identifies resources that are needed to your financial, human resource infrastructure and equipment. It also impacts and how it impacts on teaching and learning and consultation with stakeholders. It concludes by giving a way forward in terms of our action. So that's basically that. Vuselela's vision is that it's an institution of choice in pursuit of economic transformation empowerment. And its mission is to provide quality approved and accredited programs and enhanced partnerships as per the national development goals, which we know that in terms of your NDP, it looks at the TVET college as a crucial, as being crucial to the economic development or growth of the country, and that is also with unemployment reduction and so forth. And also there is that particular in NDP, that particular role of having around 2.5 million enrollments. And then it also speaks to your National Skills Development Plan, which speaks about access to skills. And now, when you go to the dual approach model, why the rationale behind the dual approach model is that it combines both theoretical learning and on-job training, and it also increases your employability of students and their job opportunities. It also links your college with companies, wherein your students, the college and companies will come together, sign a memorandum of understanding so that they get attached to that particular company for the duration. And also, it also speaks to the stipend that they will be receiving and so forth and so forth. In the main, it exposes everyone, our students to the workplace through practical. So that's basically, it's a three-pronged approach between the college, the student, and the company. So the occupational programs by design, you have to have a student that is attached to a particular company through a memorandum of understanding while you are giving them, practical and so forth and so on. And you know that it's more practical as opposed to any other program. Yeah, so that's basically that particular. Now we are saying, in terms of your South African, African and international trends, we know that in the context of South Africa, your CET Act, your Continuing Education and Training Act, is the one that regulates the sector in terms of policies and so forth and so on, or it provides a legal framework. And the Department of Higher Education, it develops and promotes quality and access to higher education and vocational and educational skills through developing policies. So that is the South African context as far as the occupational programs are concerned. So your DHET will be there to bring up policies and so forth, so that we are able to have those particular. And also, what is more important here is that we have this phasing out of Report 191, or what you call them the legacy programs. bringing in these occupational programs that we are going to run with at the moment. And as you can see, so basically it's informed by that decision to say, we used to have this, a study has been made to say, but they are not necessarily assisting as far as your skills development is concerned, or the bridging of the skills divide. And on the other hand, your occupational programs, them being your, practicals and, mostly, on job and working related. So basically, it gives us a natural choice, because whatever we used to have was not really responding to that. And when you look at your African trends, generally on the African continent, you are having this restructuring of informal vocational training. Basically, what is happening is that the TVET sector globally, on the African continent, it's also moving towards that. And also in Africa, other African continents, it's informed by that to say, you've been having this informal vocational training, now you want to do what? Formalize it so that indeed there is that particular engagement between students, companies, and institutions of higher learning. And also, there is that particular increase in public-private partnership. Public in the sense of your institutions of higher learning partnering with the private sector to ensure that that particular path is given for students to be able to get exposure. And your international trends would be that internationally, as we know that we are moving towards your 4IR and so forth and so on. You are having the integration of new technologies, i.e. your artificial intelligence and robotics, that they would know about that. In terms of, that's the global trend or international trend that is currently happening across the world. And the expansion of online learning platforms or formats. Basically what it means is that because we are expanding on this online, one, it speaks also to what? It speaks to the increase in accessibility of your institution of higher learning, because what you are doing now is not only where you are only able to access education just by attending class. The one, you can be seated somewhere and still be able to access education and so forth and so on. And maybe I also need to hasten to say that your occupational programs, again, they are two-pronged. You have your trade and you have the non-trade. It's not so. Your trade ones will be the one where you really sit there and do your work and so forth. Then there are these soft ones that are out there that you can be able to, while doing practical, but not necessarily, being attached. You can be in the comfort of your space and be able to undertake that particular practical. And most importantly, another factor will be your infrastructure, where you have your refurbished and well-maintained infrastructure. We know very well that if you have refurbished and your well-maintained infrastructure, they speak to the conduciveness of the environment in which you are going to undertake your practical or your occupational programs. We also have your socio-economic, political factors that come into play there. One, we know that the TVET sector, by its own design, it is there to bridge the skills divide. Bridging the skills divide, giving our students skills that they are able to utilize for them to be able to make or make out a living out of that particular skill. So the socio-economic factor would be the one that addresses, that the TVET sector with the occupational program, it actually addresses that particular gap, where one, we know that in South Africa in particular, we have these high levels of unemployment rate. That's where the TVET sector comes in terms of giving those particular skills to our students. And then we are also looking at the signing of memorandum of understanding, which we alluded to earlier, between student companies and the college, leading to students getting stipends. And by so doing, we are basically alleviating poverty. We know most of our students that they are coming from a previously disadvantaged background. when they are in that particular program, at least those particular stipends are able to, to be able to intervene as far as their economic situation is concerned. Political factors to look at there will be access to education and skills development training opportunities, skills shortage leading to specialized skills being imported. We know very well that we are having that particular problem, where there are certain skills we might probably not be possessing as South Africans, and having to then import them from elsewhere, which its impact basically to us as a country is that it bottlenecks as far as your economic situation is concerned, because the more other people come into the country with those particular skills, the more it becomes difficult for us to. But the plus of it is that at least they are able then to impart those skills so that they are able to, have many of us acquiring those particular skills. And then another factor that we are looking at, we have lack of alignment in curriculum and skills required. We know there is this debate about outdated curriculum. I think that is basically where we are to say, when you look at your previously legacy programs, that they would say your electoral technology, for instance, it will be using curriculum syllabus that was written in 1970, where we are now in 2025, and in between then, there's a lot of development that has happened. So basically what we are doing here is to say, we look at this outdated curriculum so that we are able to, align ourselves with the current trends technologically and otherwise. That's basically the plus of these occupational programs. We look at mega trends in team and college digitization. That is basically what we are saying, to say, look, we need them to shift from the traditional face-to-face type of education or teaching and learning, where now we introduce your blended learning. Now the blended learning, like I said earlier, what it does, it gives you an opportunity, not only the 10 or 30 students that are seated there, but it also gives an opportunity to some other students elsewhere who are able to be connected and be able to get information or education while they are not in class. So that's basically that. Which then increase, like we said, accessibility. And then we are also looking at, say, as a college, we need to move towards your e-books. E-books, it also speaks to the accessibility of, many people as far as, your books are concerned. And also, the idea is that with the e-books, it saves you money. Because every now and then you don't have to be stocking textbooks that are not utilized, pack them there, get other ones, and so forth and so on. And then another thing that you are looking at, we are going green. Now, going green for the college, what it means is that instead of us having stacks and stacks of files during, teaching and learning, what we could do is we create an online, filing storage system where we are able to access our files, and it does not have to be physical. We know it is paper intensive. It has to do with space where you must buy your cabinets and so forth and so on. But with the going green approach, you don't necessarily need paper any longer. That is basically what we are looking at. And I know that at some point we were sitting for academic board. There is that particular understanding that we need to do that. Obviously, there are regulations that we need to observe as far as your SBA is concerned. It's a process matter that one we are looking at. And then we're also looking at automation or align the college workshops with industry through providing the latest technology. It does not assist where we are having workshops with equipment that does not speak to the current technological trends in industry. So basically what we need to do is that we need to then be able to know what is happening in industry so that when we offer education to our students, they are aware of the latest technological developments, so that even when they go there, they don't get amused at what they see, because it's something that they are used to in our institution every day and they are working with. Now we look at the objectives. Look, we call them SMART objectives: be it specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timed. We are looking at as a plan to say we need to have between a period 2026 and 2027 train lecturers throughout that particular period in preparation to deliver subjects that would have been identified over and above the current 12 occupational programs that you're having. As a college, we do have that, but we are saying in terms of your expansion and the type of programs that we want to identify and want to give or to administer in future. Identify lecturers, have them being trained where there is a lack of training. So basically, we are being specific about our target and who actually we are targeting. And we are saying 70% of programs offered in the college being occupational between period 2025 and 2027. We are deliberately using 2025 because we know that already in 2025 there's a few programs that we have introduced. And we are saying by 2027, meaning we should be spending between now and the end of 2026 and 2027 to ensure that every program within the college, it falls within that particular end of spectrum of occupational. And then we are talking measurables. We are saying 80% of staff relevantly trained and equipped with requisite skills. It's not going to assist us to say, here are the programs that we identify, and yet we don't have people to carry. So we are saying during that period, during that particular period, we want to say at least we have managed to have 80% of our lecturing staff being able to be possessing skills that are required. And then who must action that? One, your HR department should be able to do that through your training matrix, where they'll be able to identify gaps as far as our lecturers are concerned, number one. And your academic division. Your academic division comes into play in that it is the one that will then be responsible for the identification of those particular programs for that particular period. And then we are saying at least until 2029. That is what you are looking at. And realistic, we are saying yes, they are realistic in the sense that we identify programs that we need to offer and give our lecturers relevantly relevant training, combining their current academic qualifications and the skills that they need. We do have staff members across the college, we know. It's only here and there where we need to identify and be able to do that. Come with an elaborate plan to do that, and that is basically what we are presenting here. And then is it time? Yes, we are saying we need to wholly say between 2027 and 2029, let us have that cohort of lecturers that are trained to be able, not only lecturers, but staff in general, being able to carry that particular as we move along. Action plan would be that identify programs and apply for accreditation through QCTO by 2026, meaning we would have identified a certain groups of programs that we need to offer, and at least because we know there is a minimum of 6 months period that you need to have in order to get your house in order for accreditation. So we are saying let us spend 2026 doing exactly that, identifying programs, applying for accreditation, and so forth and so on. So that is basically what we are saying. And then we are also saying that we need to then be consulting with the community. Remember, we exist on behalf of the community, or we exist to serve the community, isn't that so? And basically what is also needed in industry, now, we need to balance the two. What industry is in need of, or what is happening in industry, also versus the type of students that we need to attract as a college. And for us to be able to do that is when we take information to the community to say, look, as a college, this is our view, these are the type of students that we need to, or learners that we need to admit or enroll, and this is where we are going as a college. So that's basically that. And then we are also saying we need to identify industry players for student placements and sign MOUs. MOUs will be a critical aspect in this whole thing, in this troika. Your college student and your company, your private sector. So basically, we need them to do that, to say at least by 2026, we should have maximized identification of that and being able to say, these are the programs that we are having or giving. Is there industry out there that will be able to offer our students this particular practical or experiential learning? If indeed, then we move in that particular direction. And then we look at the business canvas model. Nah? What are we looking at? We are saying, when you look at finance, we know currently the college is relying on your NSPAS for students, it's relying on your grants, isn't that so, from the department. But we are saying, as a college, we need them to open that third stream income, where we collaborate with industry, and then we ring-fence the budget for lecturer training, SETA collaboration, speaking SETA collaboration. So basically, as a college, we need to really focus, to shift our focus a bit, or expand, let me put it that way, to expand our income stream, to say, let us look into this other one that we have never had. And what is also important is that on that particular issue of finance, nothing stops the college from producing colleagues, stuff that we can sell, depending on the type of programs that we are having. You know, incubating campus and there we can be able to produce in that particular campus where, because we have carpentry, is that so? We can be able to build, you know, we can be able to build for selling as a college, as part of our increasing our what we call a third stream approach. We can be able to do that. Nothing stops us from doing that. I know there's one college that is doing that. And then we're looking at human resources to say lecturers, training and development of lecturers, 80%, including your support staff, because it does not assist colleagues only to take your lecturers along and your support staff is left behind. Remember, it's not to say when you are a support staff, you are going to die there. Not so. You can be able to develop, to move or make a shift. And how it impacts our teaching and learning. Ensure availability of textbooks, learning material on time. We spoke about e-books, not so. But we are using textbooks deliberately here because we are saying, as a future outlook, e-books will be the way to go. But currently we are saying, we understand that we still have textbooks, and then for us to have effective teaching and learning, you still need to have them on time and so forth. Relevant and specific curriculum. We need them to say and push colleagues, our academic board, to really take decisions on the type of courses that we are offering in the college, to say, but are we really having courses that are responding to the need of, you know, of the country out there, or what is the situation? We need to do that. Availability of connectivity throughout campuses. Obviously, we know that when there is connectivity, there is easy access, and it's easy for our students to be able to work on campus. We are looking at facilities, well-equipped workshops, consumables for practicals, refurbished classrooms / workshops. That's what we are looking at. And then we conclude by saying The mandate of the TVET sector is to bridge the skills divide. The future of TVET lies in the successful implementation of occupational programs. The college to offer quality accredited programs responsive to the skills needs of the country, as the mission statement of the college states. Is not so. And then we are saying the college to have a full complement of occupational programs with well and relevantly equipped workshop, simulation rooms, etc. by 2029. So basically it says to us, in our strategic plan, between 2026 and 2029, this is what we are envisaging the college to look like in the next 3 years. And I must indicate that those are the references that we utilize for our study. And then I think that thank you slide decided to go blank on me. But nonetheless, that's where we are concluding, ladies and gentlemen. And I must say that Siabulela for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What you do is that thing that you will do, and then you conclude, and then I think we'll be okay. Okay, thank you.